Well, all right. Welcome back to As It Should Be. Paul Bertolino here in the world famous As It Should Be studios. And this week for the big Monday video, I decided what I want to do is a video I haven't really done before. Well, I kind of have, but I kind of haven't. It's the tried and true vinyl community staple, the recent vinyl pickups video. Yeah, I never do that. I rarely do that. When I hit 1,000 subscribers on this channel, and I made a thank you video to kind of beef up that particular video, make it a little longer than it would otherwise have been, I discussed what were at that time my most recent vinyl purchases. But other than that, I've never done this. But recently, I kind of picked up quite a few in the last month or so. I've quite a stack here of records that I picked up, and so I decided, well, I'm going to do a recent vinyl purchases video, okay? And let's get started there. All right. First up, Gene Clark and the Gostin Brothers. Yeah, but this is my very first copy of this album ever, if you can believe it. I mean, I've been remiss for the longest. There's so long, for years, I've been needing to get a copy of this album. This is my very first copy. Now, it's not original pressing. I would like to get an original pressing, but those are expensive as hell. One of these days, maybe. But this is the 2000 Sundazed reissue, which in a way is better because it has bonus tracks on it. Yeah, I mean, it has 14 tracks on it, and I think the original one has probably 11 or 12, I don't know, but yeah, this has bonus tracks on it. And I got this used recently. I don't remember how much I paid for it, but it was pretty affordable, all things considered, especially considered how much an original would go for. But yeah, I mean, this has kind of been on my list for a while, but it's been even more toward the top of my list recently. So this was a pretty good find, because I mean, I remember when this was a recent reissue and you saw it new all the time, and I literally saw this at the record store brand new, just sitting there staring me in the face 1,000 times. And then of course after it vanishes, then I go, oh yeah, I want to get that record. Oh, I'll get the reissue. Yeah, well, guess what? The reissue is not readily available anymore. So I lucked out on this. I got a nice used copy. Next up, Lana Lovitch, Stateless. Yes, I have never owned a copy of this until this past month. And this was, talk about an affordable album. I got this for like $5, and it's in perfectly good condition. And this is a record that, like, this came out in '79, and I wouldn't have been into this in '79. This was a little bit too way out for 9-year-old me. I was 9 in '79. This was too way out. And I remember when My Lucky Number One was on the radio. Lucky Number, I think Home was a single, but yeah, Lucky Number was the video on MTV, and I used to see that, and it was just, it did not compute to me at the time. Recently, it started coming to my attention and kind of getting on my radar again through Vinyl Community Gunkles. Shout out to the great Vinyl Community Gunkles, a channel that you should be watching and you should be Take two. A channel that you should be subscribed to, that you should be watching. Robert Fithen, friend of this channel, is part of this, and Mike from Hubtunes, and Richard Calvin Wazoo, and of course Craig from Craig's Vinyl Plethora. The four of those guys have a great channel. They do videos every week, and this record has come up a few times on recent videos, and I went to Spotify and started poking through it and went, why don't I have this record? Why do I not have this record? And I thought, the way things are these days, this is probably like a $30, $40, $50 record. Well, no, I got it for $5. Okay, so next up, another album that, well, yeah, this is my first copy of this record, but I don't know if anybody would really have expected me to have it before or now. Cyndi Lauper, She's So Unusual. Also, $5. I got this for $5. I was in San Francisco a few years ago, and I was at Amoeba on Haight Street. There was a copy of this for $30, and we're talking like 2019. $30. It wasn't signed. It wasn't a white label promo. It wasn't sealed. It wasn't a special. It was basically this. It was your average used copy, $30. Yeah, well, take this, Amoeba. I got this for $5. Yeah, and I bought it. I mean, I'm not the biggest Cyndi Lauper fan, but this is a pretty damn solid album. I mean, this is one of those albums where you go through it and it's just like, Jesus, 2, 3 of these songs you don't know. Like if you've never had this album, you never bought it, and you put this on the turntable, you would know this is a greatest hits album. You know every song. It peters out in the latter half of side 2, finally gets to songs you don't already know. I mean, it's pretty wham bam. A part of me, I bought it because when we get into the 80s videos for our Albums of the Year series, this will be nice in the background. But also, it's just, I mean, it's a rock solid album that I was not up for at the time. I mean, this came out, what, 83, right? 82, 83? Yeah, 83. This is an 83 album. And I'm telling you, in 83, throughout the 80s, I was not on board. I couldn't stand Cyndi Lauper. Granted, in 83, 84, I was on my metal kick, so this wasn't metal, so it sucked. But, you know, I was wrong. Okay, so next up is the latest album by Josh Rouse. What's it called? Going Places. Yeah, Going Places, Josh Rouse. This came out in late 2022, and I've been a Josh Rouse fan since the mid-2000s. Since around the time Nashville came out is when I got into Josh Rouse. And I wasn't aware of this album last year when it came out. And, it was just a few months ago. But I did my top albums of 2022, and this wasn't there because I didn't know about it yet. Well, I'll tell you right now, this would easily have gotten on the list over a couple of things that I actually had on it, had I known. This is a really great... the thing about Josh Rouse is that I got into him, again, when Nashville came out. To this day, that's my favorite Josh Rouse album, and I really love 1972 and Subtitulo, or however you pronounce that, the one after Nashville. But then they kind of start to peter out for me. I mean, he always makes good records. Like, Josh Rouse didn't start making bad records. He just started going in different directions, started making different types of albums, and I just wasn't as interested. And so he's kind of made a whole string of albums that are just kind of, a little bit different, and, going down different roads, different styles, and going through different phases, which is great. I love an artist that does that. For some reason, it didn't, I just wasn't able to follow him through a lot of that stuff, and I kind of ended up losing track with Josh Rouse. This album, he's at last kind of going back to that Nashville kind of sound. I mean, it's not exact, and that's the good thing too. He's not just, it doesn't sound like he's going back and imitating that. There's just a lot of songs on this album that really have that thing about them that made me love those songs. There's also, there's some newer kind of stuff too. I mean, it's moving forward, but still, it's a little bit more classic Josh Rouse, and it gets me right here. Great album. Okay, up next is an album that I'm definitely got far too late. You may recall last year I did a video reviewing this album, The Tipping Point by Tears for Fears. Yeah, I didn't have this when I did the review for the album. I only just recently got this. I finally have a copy. The thing about it is that I wanted to get, there are different editions. You know how they do that these days. It's like, there's got to have the Target exclusive and the record store day version and the this and that, and this one has this bonus track, that one has that bonus track, this one's on blue vinyl, the whole thing. Well, I wanted the Target exclusive because it came with a single that had bonus tracks, right? Well, and I kept putting it off, and I had the tab open on my computer for months, just sitting there going, all right, buy the Tears for Fears album. Come on, Paul, you can do it. You can do it. And I just kept not buying it and not buying it and not buying it. And then one day recently, I was at Academy Records, 12th Street, Manhattan, used, what was it, 10 or 12? It was like $12 maybe, used the Target exclusive with the single. I couldn't have been more lucky. This was a huge score. And, yeah. And for those of you who haven't seen the video, this is a great record. But go back and watch the video. This is an absolutely excellent new Tears for Fears album. If you didn't think Tears for Fears had anything good, new, good music in them, you're wrong. Great album. Okay, so now this I'm breaking this up kind of in two parts. That first part is all the albums that I bought that I didn't have that I had never had copies of before. These are my first copies of these albums. Well, now I'm going on to some albums that I've purchased that I already had copies of. I'm one of those guys that even though I already have this album, I still have to buy it because for various reasons. It's a better copy, or maybe I have a later pressing and this is an earlier pressing. There's maybe it has shrink and a hype sticker or something. For a variety of reasons, I always end up buying yet another copy of an album that I've had for decades, or already have 3 copies of even. So that's what all this is going to be now. First up, Lola vs. Power Man and the Money Go Round by the Kinks. Yeah. Oh, yes. Believe me, I've been a Kinks fan since I was 13 years old. I've had this for decades. In fact, I bought this in 1983. Not this copy, of course, but I bought this album new in 1983, but it was, the current pressing in 83, where all the graphic was black instead of blue, and there was a little... You may remember this. The 80s pressing had a printed on, well, it wasn't a hype sticker. It was like printed. It was a printed on hype sticker. It wasn't on the plastic. It was actually printed onto the cover, saying featuring the hits Lola and Ape Man. That's the first version of the first pressing of this album that I ever had, and I've had a few other copies since then, and I still do. I have. Yeah, I basically have another copy of this exact pressing. But the reason why I bought this one is because this is absolutely stunning. This is the most gorgeous, beautiful copy of this album I have ever seen. And I couldn't pass it up. I will never see a better copy of this again. Unless it's sealed, maybe if it's in shrink, maybe. But outside of sealed or in shrink, the record appears unplayed. This is like getting a 1970 pressing of this album new. Really. Whoever bought this, whoever used to own this record, clearly bought it, took the shrink off, maybe played it once, and filed it away, because this is absolutely a stunning copy of this record. Like I said, I could not resist it. So coming up next, I have 2 albums by one artist. Dukes of Stratosphere. Yes. The Dukes of Stratosphere EP and their one full-length album, 25 O'Clock and Sonic Sunspot. Incredible records. I have been a fan of these albums since they came out in the 80s. And I do have both vinyl copies of both of these records. But I bought these 2 records because... Well, okay... As I've mentioned on many videos, some people who watching now may not have seen me mention this in the past, but the bulk of my record collection is at my mom's house, because I just don't have enough room for it here in my apartment. So I have most of my records are there, like the records that I've been collecting since the 70s. And so my copies of these are at my mom's, and they're probably... definitely my 25 O'Clock is definitely not in as nice condition as this. These are definitely better copies than the ones I already had, but also they were just sitting there looking at me, just giving me puppy dog eyes at the record store, and I thought, well, I don't need these, but they're in pretty nice condition. I went over to the turntable and put on the headphones to listen to them, and they sounded so good. I hadn't put these records on in so long, because I haven't had them at my disposal in so long. And they're such great copies, and I just sat there with the headphones just being blown away anew by these records. And I thought, you know what? I don't care. I'm buying these. There's really no real substantial reason to buy these. I'm buying them. I had to buy them. Again, I do think this is probably an upgrade, like a significant upgrade from the one that I already have. Possibly this one too, because these are both in really great condition. But I have to admit, it was a little excessive, really, for me to buy those. But I just, I couldn't help myself. Okay, next up, boy, talk about an album I've had for decades. Whew, man, have I had this forever. But this is so much nicer than the one... I mean, I think I only have one copy of this, and I've had it forever. But now I have a much, much, much nicer one, and I paid like $5 for it. Don't Shoot Me, I'm Only the Piano Player by Elton John. This is not one of my favorite 70s Elton John. Spoiler alert, I haven't done my Elton John album ranking yet, so I probably don't want to give away too much. As far as the classic 70s Elton, not my favorite. This is not my favorite, but, you know, all 70s Elton is great. And this is just probably the nicest copy I've ever seen of this. I know I keep saying that, but I mean, that's one of the things that prompts me to buy all these multiple, you know, repeat copies of these, is that they're just so damn nice. The record that I have had of this forever, or the copy that I've had of this forever, has always been a little rough. And I was always just kind of like, just went along with it because it wasn't, you know, it's not Goodbye Old Brick Road, it's not Honky Chateau, it's not Captain Fantastic, it's not one of the, like, the 70s Elton albums. So I guess I just kind of made do and didn't really concern myself with upgrading. But when I ran into this one, it was in the $5 bin, not a scratch on it, no wear, the spines, everything, just a beautiful copy. I thought, you know what, it is finally time to get a nicer copy of Don't Shoot Me. And here it is. Okay, next up, yet another album that I'm telling you I have had for decades, and I probably have a couple of copies of this album. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. But, well, actually now I have 3. A Night at the Opera, Queen. Yeah, and this is, you know, this is I don't know exactly which, this is a 70s pressing. It's a green butterfly label Night at the Opera. I don't know if it's actually 75, maybe it's a 76. I don't know if it's a, you know, this, that. I'm not really that swift with pressings in terms of which plant they were pressed at, but it's most definitely a mid-70s pressing of this record, and it's in excellent condition. I mean, it's actually in beautiful condition. It's definitely a step up from either of the copies that I already have, in terms of condition. And, you know, it's just another one of those records that's stuffed away in the vault at my mom's, and I just don't have here at my fingertips. And I just kind of thought, you know, it's high time I had one here, and since this is an upgrade, why not? Here you go, Night at the Opera. Alright, so next up, ELO with a new world record. Yeah. Now, you know, I bought this one, as you can see, it has Shrink, and of course a Corvette's price sticker. And so it's a really great copy of this album, which also has the order form. Yeah. Now, the copy, my other copy might have the order form. I'm not sure. I don't remember if I already have the order form or not. But this was just such a great copy, and it was like $8 or something. It was cheap, and I couldn't resist it. And I've definitely been kind of trying to upgrade my ELOs all to Shrink copies, preferably with hype sticker. I don't know if there was ever a hype sticker for this one. I have never seen one, but a Corvette's price sticker is, you know, next best thing, right? What I would really like is a Crazy Eddie price sticker. I'm always looking out for Crazy Eddie price stickers. Whenever I find albums in Shrink with Crazy Eddie price stickers, it's always an album that I don't want. So but I'm always looking. Okay, so next up, The Who with The Who by Numbers. Yeah, this is a mid-70s pressing of this in Shrink. Yeah, I mean, again, a beautiful copy in Shrink. $5 bin. I got this for $5. I mean, this is really, and this is another one of those albums that I've had numerous copies of over the last 40 years or so. I mean, I probably bought my first copy of this album in the early 80s, right? But I bought, in the early 80s, I bought what was the latest pressing. So I bought a crappy, you know, Super Saver Series version or whatever. But I mean, you know, this is just a really, man, this is just a super, super clean copy of this with a really nice MCA inner sleeve. Like, it's not, the corners aren't bent or anything. It's just like, it's really great copy of this. And for $5, I just couldn't resist it. Yeah, Who by Numbers. All right, so now the big finale here. The big finale. I have a few Beatle-related records, and this is first up, Wings at the Speed of Sound. As you can see, in Shrink with the hype sticker. That's why I bought this. I mean, it's Oh, I forgot. You know what? Honestly, I think this was in the $5 bin too. It was $5. There's a place here in Brooklyn called Human Head, and they have, and a lot of their stuff has astronomical prices, just like everything does now. But they do have a $2 bin and a $5 bin, and I regularly run into perfectly good, in fact, great copies of albums of perfectly good titles in the $5 bin. Every record that I've shown you on this video where I told you I got it in the $5 bin, that's where I got it. At Human Head in their $5 bin. I mean, yeah, Wings at the Speed of Sound isn't like some crazy expensive, like, $50 record or even a $25 record. But this is an absolutely gorgeous copy of this. Shrink, hype sticker, the record is in great condition. I mean, whoever owned this played it a few times when it was new and filed it away. And yeah, for $5, there was no way I was going to pass this up. And because that's the thing, is when it comes to all these records, one of the things that always will get me to buy a new copy is Shrink and Hype sticker, because I've been on a Shrink and Hype sticker upgrade, thing, jag, I guess, for a few years now. But that brings us to 3 George Harrison albums. Yes, Extra Texture. Well, let's do these separately. Extra Texture in Shrink with a Disco Mat price sticker. It doesn't have the Hype sticker, unfortunately, but I mean, believe me, the copy I already have of this record is not that great. Like, this is a substantial upgrade from the copy I already had. The copy I've had since high school or whatever is just, I probably paid $3 for it or something at the time, but it's a $1 bin copy as far as I'm concerned. It's rough. This one is not rough. This is really, really nice. And then, of course, in Shrink with the Hype sticker, 33 1/3, with also Disco Mat. There were a bunch of albums there in Shrink on this day with Disco Mat stickers. Like, they probably came from the same collection, so whoever bought all these records really, really, really took care of their stuff. But yeah, I mean, I've been really wanting to upgrade all my solo Beatles stuff to Shrink and Hype stickers, and well, I really, really scored on this one particular day, and yeah, 33 1/3, and even Cloud 9 with the Hype sticker. Shrink and Hype. I don't think I've ever seen this Hype sticker. I mean, it's not much of a Hype sticker. I mean, it's really small and it's down towards the bottom. I mean, it doesn't exactly. I mean, it's not an attention grabber, that's for sure. But hey, I'll take it. All right, so there you go. Yeah, that's quite a stack of records I just showed you. Yeah, that's all stuff that I've bought in the last month or so. Maybe some as early as February, but throughout March and a little bit of maybe late February. That's the latest stuff that I picked up. There you go. So, as I mentioned earlier in the video, there's the whole vault thing. I always mention all the records that I have at my mom's, and I have the whole vault of the bulk of my record collection. Well, pretty soon I'm gonna go over there, and this is gonna be pretty soon, in the next month or two. I'm gonna go over there and I'm going to make some videos. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna move everything out of the way and expose all the records, and I'm gonna make some vault record videos. I'm going to show you the stuff that I have that I have at my mom's, and little by little, and yeah, so that'll be fun. It'll not be nice to actually be able to go back and dig into that stuff again and show you all the stuff that I keep mentioning, that I keep saying that I have. Yeah, all right. And anyway, thank you for everybody for watching, and thank you everybody who's been watching, and thank you to everybody who's subscribed. But if you haven't subscribed, consider subscribing. And if you do subscribe, click the little bell because of notifications. But whatever you do, come back on Thursday, because Crystal Durant and Tommy Von Voigt are going to be here, and we are going to continue our new Albums of the Year series. And this week on Thursday, it is going to be 1961. Yeah, we're going to be discussing our top 10 albums of 1961. So come back for that. All right, I will see you guys soon.